Hi everyone, welcome back to Habitual Entrepreneurship, where we build daily routines for startup success. Today, I want to kick off by sharing a personal story. A story of how I built a habit at the age of 17, which served me well throughout all these years. Right after finishing high school, I moved out of my family to a bigger city to start my first business. I had very little money and almost no business know how. My goal wasn't to become a businesswoman, but rather make money so I could save toward my college fund. However, few months into my business, I realized that I wasn't saving any money as I was reinvesting everything back into the business. So, to stick with my initial goal, I developed a habit. Every day after business hours, I would go to an exchange point and buy $1 bill. At the time, the banking system wasn't well developed, and buying a foreign currency was the most viable option for me to save. Because at the time, US dollar, which was and still is actually a very stable and trustworthy foreign currency. So once when I went to the same lady from who I used to buy the dollar, asked me, why don't you buy a $50 bill? Because it's much cheaper and you would save more money. Because the truth is, yes, buying $1 bill was more expensive. So the only thing I could tell her is that I can't afford, right? Because it was very difficult for me to put aside the money because every penny I was making, I was reinvesting back. So I thought that was the best compromise for me at the time to ensure that I was setting aside for my college fund. And you may think that $1 a day is not going to take me to college, right? But you need to understand that at the time I had very little money when I started the business and I was reinvesting everything. And also, it was early 2000s when the dollar was very expensive, and in today's market, it might equal somewhere to $10 a day. So that was still not enough. And as you can imagine, I wasn't able to save for my college. But that habit did start something that was life changing for me. From then on, I developed a habit of setting aside some money and saving on regular basis to make sure I have enough resources to afford the things I want, like invest in myself, in education, pursue business ideas, but also just to be safe if something happens like during COVID pandemic when a lot of people lost their jobs, including myself. I had the safety cushion to rely upon. So that habit illustrates the fact that you don't necessarily have to make big behavior changes or drastic changes in order to achieve significant results. James Clear calls it atomic habits, small steps that you take toward significant results. If you have been postponing on a habit, procrastinating for a while, today is your day. I hope you have a habit handy. If not, please pause this video and think and pick one habit that you either want to start practicing or a behavior that you currently practice that you want to stop. With that, let's get in today's video. Starting a new habit and breaking an old habit. Let's go. We will use the concept of habit loop in order to build a new habit and to break an old habit. The best is if you can follow along as I do this exercise. You can use a notebook or you can also download my free template, which is available under the description below. Also, feel free to pause the video as needed. We will start by building a new habit. I've been trying to develop this habit for a while. I've failed a couple times, but I'm getting back at it. Meditation. I think meditation has a lot of potential and a lot of positive benefits to everyone, but especially for entrepreneurs, as it helps you reach more clarity, focused state of mind, and clear your mind, especially before you start your busy schedule. So let's look at habit loop and see how we can apply this concept if we want to cultivate the habit of daily meditation. We will use the concept from James Clear's book Atomic Habit, where he talks about the 4 laws of behavior change. The first law, if you remember, starts with the cue. It is the trigger that initiates the habit loop, right? So in my case, if I want to develop a daily habit of meditation, I could choose, for example, a specific time of the day or a specific place where I would meditate. For me, the living room, where every day in the morning I do yoga. So for me, the cue could be the time of the day, so which is around 7 a.m. in the morning in a specific part of the living room where I practice yoga. The next would be also, we could try to make this cue as obvious as possible. So for example, putting maybe the meditation cushion somewhere visible so I could see every time I get up, maybe. In my case, I would use an existing habit, which is practicing yoga, as the cue, because this is also referred to habit stacking. If you have a habit that you currently practice, you can use it as a base and then stack a new habit right on top of that, or actually right after it, right? So in my case, since I practice yoga in the morning, right after I finish yoga, I could do the meditation. So the yoga serves as the cue for my habit. The second law of behavior change is the craving. This is the desire to achieve the reward that makes us want to do the habit. In my example of daily meditation, I can connect meditating to positive feelings, positive outcomes such as reduced stress, better mood, better focus, and overall improved well-being. I can also think in terms of immediate benefits I might get from meditating, maybe improved mood, better focus, and feeling calm early in the morning. The third step in behavior change is the response. This is the actual habit that you perform. And we need to make sure it is as easy as possible. In my example of daily meditation, I can start as little as 5 minutes of meditation a day. This is an easy way to start and build the habit. I can, of course, increase the duration as I get comfortable with meditating. The fourth and final stage in the behavior change is the reward. We need to make it as satisfying as possible, because remember, the reward is what it makes you want to repeat that behavior, because anything that is pleasurable, our brain will remember and will want to do it again. So in my example with meditation, I can think of positive outcomes that I get after meditating. And I can also try to celebrate the success of sticking with the habit. So for example, after finishing the 5 minutes of daily meditation, I can take a minute to pause and to really reflect on how I'm thinking and feeling at that particular moment. Chances are I am feeling calm and stress-free, right? So acknowledging that positive feeling and embracing that feeling and remembering how it felt, because that can help you want to do it again, right? I can also think in terms of long-term benefits of sticking with this habit, how it can improve my focus and stress resilience over time if I manage to stick with this behavior. Now, let's break an existing habit using this concept of habit loops. To do this, I will use an example of a habit, again, which I've been trying to break for a while, which is the use of smartphones before bedtime. This is very important as it has a lot of positive benefits to everyone, but especially for entrepreneurs. Using phones right before going to bed really impacts the quality of your sleep and rest, which can negatively influence the focus and productivity the next day. So let's together break this habit of smartphone use before bedtime. To do this, we would apply the same 4 laws of behavior change, but this time we will reverse them. So, when it comes to the cue, the trigger that initiates the habit loop, we need to make it as invisible as possible. So, in the case of smartphone use, usually I use the phone before bed if I'm feeling bored or wanting to entertain myself, I can't sleep, or just because my phone is right there. So, in this case, I need to remove this cue or make it invisible. This might be, in my example, to put aside the phone. So leave the phone in the living room, don't even bring it into the bedroom. So that can already help me not to use my phone because when I'm in the bed, my phone is not anywhere close. The second law of behavior change is the craving. We need to make it as unattractive as possible. Remember, it's the craving for the reward that makes us initiate the habit. So we have to ensure we don't crave it anymore. In my example of using smartphones before bedtime, what I can do is really think about the consequences of phone usage before bed. In this example, it can negatively impact my sleep. I might be able to fall asleep, but the quality will deteriorate significantly, which means I'm not rested, which means the next day, likely I won't be as productive and as focused as I could be. I could also think in terms of long-term consequences of not having quality sleep every night, because this will surely impact my ability to perform well and to run my business. The third law in behavior change is the response or the actual habit. We need to make it as difficult as possible so we don't engage in that behavior. In my example with phone use before bedtime, I could do several things to create obstacles. For example, I can shut down all electronic devices before bed. This is maybe a bit too extreme, but another example would be to set a night mode, which I often do. For example, my phone automatically shifts into night mode at 9:30 p.m., where my whole phone goes gray. And believe it or not, it creates enough friction for me not want to use my phone, because when you remove colors from YouTube, Instagram, and similar applications, I kind of lose the craving and desire to use these applications because everything is gray. So this is one way. For example, I create friction or obstacle, and I try to not engage in that behavior. The fourth and final stage in the law of behavior change is the rewards. In our example of breaking a habit, we need to make this reward as unsatisfying as possible. If we don't enjoy the reward, chances are we don't want to repeat that behavior again in the future. In my example of limiting smartphone use before bed, I could do several things. For example, I might replace the phone use with something else, like reading a physical book. Ideally, something light so it doesn't engage my brain too much because I still want to get quality sleep. I could also think and celebrate the success. If I see that I am getting quality sleep and feeling better as a result, I could take a minute to acknowledge that. In the long run, that would also give me motivation not to engage in this behavior. If you find building new habits or breaking old habits difficult, you are not alone. It is a difficult and time-intensive process. So stay positive and don't give up. Because once you manage to develop the habits that you want or break the habits that no longer serve you, your life becomes much easier and more enjoyable while you make consistent progress toward your goals. Business success is a compound effect of your daily habits, of your consistent actions that you develop over a long period of time. So stay at it. If you have any questions about habits or how to apply the concept of habit loop to your particular habit, let me know. I'm happy to share my experience of building and breaking habits over the years. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos where we will go deeper into habit building. Till next time.